the first, stars Sean Penn and Natasha McElhone. This is about the first planned or manned trip to Mars. It opens in the near future. So we've got a few things that tell us it's the near future. Phone calls are all made by sort of pressing something in your ear, and you can control your car by your voice. But it's not so far in the future that you're still relying upon, huge propelled rockets to get to the moon.
And then change the clocks. The clocks are still going backwards and forwards the way they were.
Oh, my word.
But you can just talk to it now. Go back.
Go back an hour. Yeah.
Reverse. And we start with a very simple sort of premise that there is a mission going ahead. There's a launch going ahead, taking 3 or 4 astronauts up to Mars. He was part of the team, and he's sort of speaking to them right before launch. He's obviously been quite integral, and you see all in the sort of the control room. And then you get if you're alive in the mid-1980s, you get a very familiar scene. Now, if you remember the Challenger launch in 1987, it's very similar to the start here. Basically, before they get into orbit or out of the Earth's atmosphere, they explode. I'd say this whole episode is sort of based around that. And so it feels like a sort of a show which is like based on something like a Lost or a Designated Survivor or those programs where something happens and what you're getting is the fallout. Later on, obviously, they're obviously going to go back and do this, but you get Natasha McElhone. She's playing sort of like the head of NASA. She's very obviously concerned about the public image and meeting with lawyers, and she's scared to meet with the families. And Sean Penn, it sort of plays this sort of role where he comes straight down, he's holding the hands of the parents, and he's sort of then confronting her about, calling her a coward, basically saying, you've got to talk to these people. Towards the end of the episode, Sean Penn goes back to his house, and his daughter is there. His daughter has a drug issue. She comes back because she's been sort of emotionally affected by the crash, because it reminds her of times where Sean Penn has gone up into space. Obviously, he's obviously been up a few times, and he's estranged from his wife. We don't know whether the wife is alive, but they're not together anymore.
She's not. She's dead.
No. I mean, I'd love to say to you that they do this really well, that this is a massive blockbuster. But actually, despite what actually happens being quite major, it's quite underplayed.
It's so
in my
dull.
opinion. It's done in a very... Well, I wouldn't say dull. It's just done in a very matter-of-fact way, in my opinion.
It's so dull.
Let's
my experience...
Hold on.
We've just gone into Opinion Alley. We're about to go down it.
So I'd like to hear what Luke thinks, Carl, because you say it's dull, but what?
Hold on.
So I've not had that much experience with Sean Penn as an actor, really. This was probably...
What does he normally do in your life, then?
He's normally a cleaner for me, but...
he's never done... I suppose the one thing we should say...
This is his first foray. Well, apart from cameos and stuff, and Friends, of course.
Oh, okay.
He's probably done, like, TV movie things.
But this is it. But you're quite right. This is his first drama role where he is Sean Penn in. I found him incredibly irritating. I thought he mumbled through the whole thing instead of speaking, which always is bound to get on my nerves. The explosion scene, which we can talk about because this is on Thursday night, the podcast will be out Friday. If you're going to watch it, you'll watch it live. So the thing when the spaceship blows up was... Not exciting is the wrong word, but well done. Big dramatic scene
it was
for
going to
TV.
happen, though.
Yeah, you could see it a mile off. But the rest of it was so dull. And from what I've read about this programme, the whole show is like this. It's about him rebuilding his life with his daughter and coming to terms
putting
with
together the mission, I'm guessing.
Yeah, coming to terms with the loss of his wife. I just found it completely unbearable. Even your description of it felt as long as the programme was.
It's hard to kind of summarise it because a lot happens, but
not really.
Kind of
not a lot. Not a lot happens really.
I suppose the only
had
bit...
empathy for either the families whose loved ones have been blown up or him. And for this to work, surely I have to. I wasn't invested at all. I thought it was one of the worst US big budget dramas I've seen this year. I really hated it.
Yeah, I'm with you both really. It was very and it was very grey and very sort of cold and this sort of futuristic setting. It didn't make me sort of feel anything.
No, it's
Yeah.
completely
Makes sense.
emotionless.
Yeah, and I was thinking back to Missions that me and Gary watched. You remember the French thing?
Oh yeah.
And this did that very much better in my, because that was Man Mission to Mars, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, and that did it better in so much as it started and they were just on the way to Mars. They just sort of were getting to Mars, which is the more exciting thing than getting the team ready to go to Mars.
Yeah.
You
can kind of. I mean, if they
hold
wanted, we'll say no.
Hold
If they
on.
wanted, go on.
I was going to say, in a bit of praise, I thought Natasha McElhone was good. I liked
I
her.
agree with that.
I didn't like her.
I think she was. Are you speaking or am I speaking? I think
Well,
I'm.
it's a three-way podcast, so we can sort of chime in.
I suppose like best of a bad bunch maybe, but I thought when she was on screen, I was more interested than at any other time of the episode. How's that?
That's fair enough.
I don't think I'll be watching, and it's a shame because I am a space geek. I've said this before. I really like anything to do with space, and I really.
Well, you're going to space, aren't you? Isn't that why you're leaving the podcast?
Yeah, that's just. I'm not. NASA have asked me not to talk about it.
Okay.
Okay.
And
It's like when Barney Gumble went to space in that episode.
it was actually he didn't go though. It was Homer. Barney didn't go. That's the
Yeah.
thing to say. I've lost my train of thought. I really enjoyed a film that's out at the moment called The First Man, which is all about
or just
Neil
First
Armstrong.
Man. You're putting yours again. You're doing the Bodyguard.
Well, I've borrowed it from The Bodyguard, so.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed that, and I feel this could have had that kind of same feel to it. You know, it really could have been a bit more sort of, you know, exciting and descriptive and atmospheric, but it's chosen not to, which I think is a real shame.
Because obviously everyone watching will expect it to be something that it isn't, and that's a huge risk. It's a pedestrian family drama once that spaceship blows up at the start. Maybe if they get a second season, he might go to Mars, but this first season is not about that,
Well,
and that's going to get on people's
for any
nerves.
American television show trying to get a second series, as we all know. A real shame.